That 90s show is as packed with decade-appropriate details as its 70s set predecessor. But unless you've already binged it twice, there's no way you caught them all. Here's all the 90s nods you might have missed and more. Episode 1 of that 90s show opens with Red and Kitty waiting to greet their son Eric, his wife Donna, and their daughter Leia, who have driven up from their home in Chicago to visit for the 4th of July. Kitty is predictably more excited than Red, giving everyone big hugs and smelling Eric's hair at every opportunity. Everything is pretty much as it should be, including the names of Star Wars geek Leia Forman's daughter. Leia still wasn't much used as a baby name in 1980, according to the Social Security Administration, but it wasn't unheard of. However, any debate about the origin of Leia's name soon goes out the window.
Leia Tatooine Forman.
Her middle name is Anne.
You know what? I never agreed to that.
The real beauty of this Star Wars reference comes later in the episode, though, after Leia reveals she doesn't want to attend space camp with her father and instead would like to stay in Point Place hanging out with the cool kids she met. Eric reacts badly, at one point even offering up one of Red's old threats.
Study Star Wars my entire life, and in my moment of truth, I turn into my evil father.
With their status as fan favorites and real-life marriage, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis needed to come onto that 90s show and briefly reprise their roles as Michael Kelso and Jackie Burkhart. And brief it is. The series has no interest in waiting around in the lives of characters we've already spent so much time with. It wants to maintain the same winning structure of that 70s show by focusing on the kids' lives as much as possible. Kelso and Jackie are just stopping by, literally in story terms and figuratively as they pass the torch to the next generation. Michael informs Red that the good-looking boy hovering around Leia is in fact his son, Jay. Kitty gets just as flustered by Kelso as ever, and Jackie steps in to remind Michael they're going to be late for their wedding. They're getting married. Actually, they've been married to each other before, so this is their remarriage. Well, their second remarriage.
Well, this one's gonna stick, right?
Yeah.
Some things never change, and Kelso and Jackie have always been volatile together. Perpetually drawn to each other but unable to keep from driving each other crazy, they spent the 70s breaking up and reuniting an untold number of times. It only fits that their love lives are still on that same relationship roller coaster all these years later. From the outside, it might look dysfunctional, but it's always worked for them. The premise of that 90s show is that Leia Forman, granddaughter to Red and Kitty, spends the summer in Point Place, Wisconsin, hanging out with the local kids. Once that setup is established, the show wastes no time moving directly into the lives of this new generation. Kitty eagerly sets up the old basement where Eric and his friends used to hang, assuring Red it will be the safest place for them and thereby cutting off any objections he has to people, kids, noise, or disturbances. As the kids sit around admiring their new digs, Kitty brings over a box of Eric's old games and records. While Nate is mistaking an 8-track tape for a video game cartridge, his half-sister Gwen is pulling out the Candyland box. Fans of that 70s show will remember Eric often kept his not-so-secret stash of emergency cash in that box, but the stash Gwen finds has been, shall we say, upgraded. Let the smoke circle commence and the conspiracy theories fly.
Leia, do you want to hear about the Donkey Kong conspiracy? He's a gorilla.
Happily ensconced in the Forman basement, the kids of Netflix's new series, That 90s Show, have taken up the mantle of their predecessors. But their mission is not just to reiterate the same old gags. References to the trends and events of days gone by are part of the appeal of period pieces. The only trick to a successful period piece is to immerse a story in the space and really live in it, rather than throw out a lot of catchphrases. One of the best ways that 90s show does this is when they find a laundry basket full of Red's flannel shirts. It's 1995, and grunge is probably just now making its way in earnest into the small towns of Wisconsin. So obviously, Riot Girl Gwen is one of the most interested in the shirts at first. Before long though, even smart and ambitious Nikki is turned on by how the flannel makes her boyfriend look. Without once saying the word grunge or mentioning any of the bands leading the trend, that 90s show seamlessly introduced the defining fad of the decade. To impress Jay on that 90s show, Leia asked for his suggestions for a movie night video pick. Like so many teens of the decade, Jay was all about the breakout directorial debut of 90s icon Kevin Smith, Clerks. Critically acclaimed as it was, Clerks achieved cult status not only because of its reviews, but also because it spoke to an entire generation in a language they understood. Director Kevin Smith, who plays Silent Bob in the film, became a legend. Just not to Leia. Leia is a sheltered, bookish, awkward dork who has no idea who Kevin Smith is. In typical sitcom style, she bluffs and claims the movie as her favorite, to hilarious results. She even assumes Kevin Smith is a famous Hollywood star, because up until then, nobody would have bet on a shaky, grainy, poorly mixed black and white film about the absurd goings-on at a convenience store being the movie every kid wanted to see. The entire storyline brings back so many wonders of the time, like Free Willy and video rental stores with illicit backroom fare. But the idea of a 90s kid not yet discovering Kevin Smith is the one that reminds us how innocent we all once were. In that 70s show, it was Bob, father to Donna. In that 90s show, the Foreman's next-door neighbor is Sherry, mom to Gwen and Nate. She's bad with men, needs to borrow the Foreman's shower, and does her grocery shopping in their fridge, but also serves a larger purpose. The oddball neighbor is a sitcom staple, going all the way back to the Honeymooners. Sherry offers an extra touch of chaos, collusion, and comic relief, plus whatever else the writers require of her. She can even be a backdoor path to sage advice, and she's often revealed to be a genuinely supportive and loyal friend and mom. Andrea Anders knows the role of the weirdo neighbor well. This isn't the first time she's played that role. Eagle-eyed viewers will also recognize Anders as the loud, impulsive Amber LaFontaine, neighbor to the Dunphys on Modern Family.
We're up for it whenever you are.
Wink, wink.
Another huge milestone of the 1990s was the birth of reality television with MTV's The Real World, that bastion of racially tinged insults, groundbreaking representation, and dramatic exits. That 90s show hasn't forgotten about it. Trying to track down an overdue videotape, Leia and Kitty meet that 70s show highlight Leo, who is as spaced out as ever. Leo has a hard time following the thread of the conversation, to no one's surprise. But what he can remember is that he can't get enough of The Real World.
Because think about it. If that's the real world, what's all this?
A short time later, Leia pops the tape into the VCR, but instead of the expected movie, it's Leo's audition tape. He thinks it'd be a great audition to The Real World, and we can't disagree. After all, he survived falls from 3 roller coasters.
Well, 4 if you count the 4th one.
On that 90s show, Sherry is dating someone who is pretty successful. He drives a blue Miata and takes her to the fancy kind of restaurant where you order at the table. So she finds it hard to break things off with him even though he's very clingy and moving fast. Fans of the original series already know where this is going. But the reveal is better than imagined when, instead of saying his name, viewers are shown the local TV ad for his business. Obviously, Sherry's new lover is Fez. He is teased in quick-cut shots from the toes of his cowboy boots to the flip of his perfect bangs as he swings his hips and taps his fingers. A tribute of sorts to the George Michael Faith video crossed with the self-important celebrity hair product ads. It's glorious in every way. Then, when it can hardly get any better, the logo appears on screen. And it closes with Fez's signature line from that 70s show.
Chez Fez, where every day is a good hair day. I said good day.
For an extra slice of awesome, when Kitty reveals they know Fez from way back, she tells Sherry where he's originally from. Only the teapot whistles so the audience can't hear her, but she assures us it's supposedly lovely there. Mistakenly believing that her granddaughter Leia is thinking of having sex, Kitty frantically calls her daughter-in-law Donna. Without wasting a moment, Donna speeds her way from Chicago to Point Place to have a serious talk with Leia. Leia assures her mom they've already had that talk, but Donna insists on having it again anyway, using the real terms for body parts this time. And she's brought all manner of prophylactics to help educate Leia in the matter. The most notable device in Donna's bag is a contraceptive sponge, an artifact of the era memorialized in the iconic Seinfeld episode The Sponge, in which the popular prophylactic is discontinued and Elaine buys all the remaining inventory in New York City, as one does.
So you think you're sponge-worthy?
Yes, I think I'm sponge-worthy. I think I'm very sponge-worthy.
The Sponge originally aired in December of 1995. Only 4 or so months after this, that 90s show episode takes place. So Donna picked one up just in time. Leia isn't really looking to have sex right then, so that sponge can be saved for a later time. As for whether or not Leia's love interest, Jay Kelso, is actually sponge-worthy, that is also to be determined. There simply can't be a TV sitcom called That 90s Show if it doesn't delve into the strange new world of personal home computers and the internet, as both boomed in popularity midway through the decade. Kitty and Red have bought their own bulky PC, and Ozzy is helping them set it up. The show deals out some predictable jokes, but it delves deeper as well. It offers a subtle nod to the whole America Online You've Got Mail phenomenon and the fear/belief that the president could hear your conversations whenever you are online. It features the frequent crashes and long reboot times. Best of all, it provides an incredibly apt description of the sound of a modem connecting.
Oh, okay, the internet is just two demons yelling at each other.
Red is unsurprisingly skeptical of this foray into the future. But soon, Kitty comes downstairs one night to find him trying to cover up the whole giant boxy monitor with his robe. He's found a picture of Raquel Welch. Instead of being shocked though, Kitty is thrilled to see him embracing this new technology.
I am so happy you're using the new computer. Now find me one of Kirk Douglas.
In episode 6 of that 90s show, which takes place sometime between the 4th of July and Labor Day 1995, Leia Forman turns 15. Folks, that math is wonky. That 70s show ended as the calendar was just about to turn to January 1st, 1980. And 40 weeks after that date is October 8th. In a conspiracy theory revelation suitable for a smoke circle, Donna must have already been pregnant when the original series ended. Furthermore, all personality signs point to Leia definitely being Eric's daughter, so they were likely secretly hooking up before officially getting back together in the series finale. Naysayers may offer up the possibility that Leia was born prematurely. Fair enough, but it still means Donna and Eric got pregnant immediately. Moreover, premature labor doesn't address the issue of Jay Kelso at all. In episode 1, Michael Kelso tells Red that Jay is his son. But Jay, who already has his driver's license, is obviously older than Leia. There was never any on-screen indication that Jay was Jackie's son, and this timeline certainly confirms that. But it opens up an even bigger question. Who is Jay's mom? Given the nature of the show, it's unlikely any of these details will be addressed with more than a shrug, if at all. But in selecting the setting for that 90s show, writers were no doubt aware of these details. Surprise, surprise, Eric's old Vista Cruiser is still around, and Red gives it to Leia in the Birthday Girl episode of that 90s show. It's a wonderful nod to the original series, a fun bit of nostalgia, and a great way for Red to beat Bob at the gift-giving game. Even better, it's a source of a great throwaway reference, only the sharpest viewers will catch. Leia doesn't have a license yet, so she can't take the car out until her grandpa Red can get her to the DMV for her learner's permit and show her the ropes. Luckily, Jay does have his license, so he and Leia go out for a romantic drive, just the two of them. As must happen in any sitcom scenario, plans are ruined by unexpected circumstances as the couple is pulled over. Red and Kitty are furious with Leia for getting in trouble with the car already, mere minutes after receiving it. But Leia points out they were only pulled over for expired tags, and technically didn't do anything wrong themselves. The tags in question were registered in 1980, and therefore lies the best, tiniest reference to the original series that 90s show pulls off. In its very last visual before the closing credits roll, that 70s show ended with a shot of the license plate for Eric's trusty Vista Cruiser and its brand new 1980 tags. What better way for that 90s show to honor its decade than to give props to one of the biggest sitcoms of the era? The first Friends reference is overt, with Leia telling Jay she wants to just be friends.
Like Ross and Rachel?
More like Joey and Chandler.
It's an easy layup, but there's a better, more subtle reference in the offing. Wanting to prove to Red that Jay is responsible, Leia convinces Sherry to let them pick up Kitty from the dentist for her. After all, what could happen in the course of transporting a heavily sedated grandmother? It turns out those magic dental surgery drugs make Kitty wild, not lethargic. And one thing leads to another, which ends in Kitty getting a tattoo of a cat outline on her inner forearm. Upon sobering up, Kitty is furious and mortified at this discovery. Worse, she has no idea what to tell Red, and he is predictably outraged at first. Upon further inspection, however, things go just as they did for Ross and Rachel in the episode, the one where Joey moves out. Red kisses her tattoo, and Kitty giggles like a schoolgirl. As the summer winds down on the debut season of that 90s show, Kitty realizes she loves having the kids around and thrives on the activity so much that she considers going back to work. Her insecurities start to take over, however, as she imagines all the horrible, if unlikely scenarios she might face as a school nurse. Coupled with the intimidating and unfamiliar process of composing a resume on her new computer and then forgetting it when she goes to the interview, everything seems to be telling her to give up and go home. That's when Red comes in to give her a confidence boost. When Kitty comes to report she got the job, he says he never doubted her. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Kitty asks how he can be so sure of her when she was so unsure of herself.
I mean, I only wanted one kid and you talked me into Eric.
It's a throwaway line and completely off topic. But in that moment, the elusive Leia Forman got her one mention of the season. a running gag on that 70s show, as the character was frequently written off the series and never appeared again after the season's 6th episode going mobile. Most of the ways that 90s show honors and pays tribute to its era are barely noticeable, largely meaningless embellishments to the set, costume, or dialogue. In the aggregate, however, they form an entire atmosphere for the show to inhabit, filling up the space of the decade in an organic way that embodies not just the look, but the feel of the time. It's Leia's early season outfits, and especially her hat in the fantasy 90210 opening, which are distinctly Blossom-esque. It's Brian Austin Green reprising the role of David Silver, freshman, in that same 90210 fantasy.
No one came to watch me DJ at the Peach Pit. Not even Donna Martin. It's the worst.
It's Sally Jesse Raphael's signature red glasses. It's the video store. In so many small ways, that 90s show brings the 90s to life, and the show is all the better for it.